you want the absolute best gaming PC possible, then you're going to need an awesome PC case. But the problem is, there are so many to choose from, so where do you start? Well, you come to a channel that tests them out for a living, one that builds a new rig every week and shows you all the ins and outs of everything that they can get their hands on. There are big cases, small cases, expensive, cheap, and ultimately amazing enclosures worth every penny, as well as the more questionable choices that just aren't worth their time or money. But today I come bearing great news, because throughout this video we're going to walk you through literally everything you need to know about PC cases, as well as give you all of our recommendations so you know exactly what the best ones are on the market at loads of different price points, loads of different sizes. And if you do want to skip ahead to see all the recommendations, obviously feel free to use the timestamps located down below, but then you'd miss all of the banter, as well as a quick word from this video's sponsor. Intel's Core Ultra series of CPUs are an affordable way to work and play, with the Intel Core Ultra 5 and Ultra 7 offering accessible prices that offer fantastic value for money. Intel's Core Ultra combines performance cores with efficient cores, giving gamers the power to play their favourite titles at night and cruise through workloads by day. Not only this, but if you buy a qualifying Intel Core Ultra product, you can also get yourself a copy of either Battlefield 6, Civilization 7, Dying Like the Beast, or Assassin's Creed Shadows for free. Learn more about what Intel can do for you today with the link down below. Let's start then with the big question. What makes a case actually good? Well, as you'd probably expect, some of this is purely subjective, whilst other parts of it are going to be incredibly scientific. Obviously, the visuals of your completed gaming PC is arguably 70% down to the case itself, so getting something that you love the look of is imperative. Having said that, do not buy a chassis just because it looks good, as you also need to consider the following. Firstly, the airflow. How well ventilated is the case, and does it have enough space to let all of your toasty components breathe? Note though that some people take this way too seriously and they're on all of the forums complaining about 0.7 degrees. I mean, this case here, case in point really, all of this extra ducting to bring like the temperatures of your GPU down by like a couple of degrees. Realistically, for most people, this is basically irrelevant. Something that's a little bit more difficult to gauge online is the build quality of the chassis. How well made is it? Does it feel nice? Does it rattle? Does the paint flake or peel? And ultimately, would you feel proud to own it for years to come? This also extends to the included fans, as some cases have really cheap and nasty ones inside that honestly sound like a jet engine, and in some cases can't even be controlled by the motherboard. Then of course there's the ease of building. How difficult is it actually going to be to construct your gaming PC inside it? Linking into this, we then have to think about space efficiency. Whilst it's definitely easier to build in a larger, in particular dual chamber case, smaller ones let you have larger monitors, speakers, and just generally more desk space. So cases like the NZXT H5 or LANCall 207 are fantastic for those that want to fit big things inside, but actually still maintain a rather small package. Just like me! No, that sounds bad. Once you have found something that you like, you then need to think about compatibility, as not all cases fit all hardware. The most important thing are the physicals. Cases come in 4 different sizes: ITX, mATX, standard ATX, and extended ATX. This needs to match up with your board size, so everything is tickety-boo. But do also consider the maximum allowances. For instance, is the length of your GPU going to be too long for the case? Is the air cooler height low enough? Can the chassis take enough fans? Will all of your radiators fit? And crucially, can it do all of these things at the same time? And I do say this out of personal experience, because there's been loads of times that I've built a gaming rig and then found that things just don't quite fit. It's often been the graphics card doesn't go with a front mounted radiator, or sometimes you go for quite tall RAM and then you put a radiator again at the top and then you find that it clashes with one of your fans and it doesn't fit and you have to take something out. Yet another reason I hate radiators. Remember as well that beefier CPUs, GPUs and PSUs will also need larger cases, partly to accommodate their physically larger size, but then also to be able to handle all of the extra heat output. No one wants a vessel of hot air. Unless you fly balloons, of course.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Finally, also bear in mind the USB ports included on your front panel and any RGB and fan controllers. A lot of them are going to be very nice to have options, but you're also going to need to have the compatible USB, RGB and respective fan headers on your motherboard in order to actually use them. The main aim of the game really, and the best advice that I think I can give you, is just to try and think about price to performance. Don't overspend on a case just because you think it looks pretty or it's large enough and you might use it one day. Just really try to kind of lock down the value to make sure you're getting something that you love the look of, is easy to build in, is constructed well, but you're not going to lose an arm and a leg just to be able to afford it. I think it's fair to say that a great case should last you about 5 to 10 years, so picking something that's not only compatible with your current parts, but one that's also going to allow for any future upgrades and be adaptable to any other themes or styles is definitely going to be a good suggestion. Just don't forget that any budget that you allocate to the case will be money taken away from the frame rate impacting CPU and GPU, so opting for a case that's not just released, doesn't have quirky fans, RGB or hubs, and stays away from expensive curved glass is probably a great way to save some cash. And then I promise, one last thing before we press on to those all-important recommendations, some more advice: don't go too big. A mistake I see people do all of the time is they're, as I say, mail ordering this, they're getting it online, they don't really know what it physically looks like. It turns up, it's massive, and it doesn't fit on your desk. I mean, look at the size of this. If I wanted like an ultra-wide monitor, speakers and things here, it's not going to fit. Just carefully think about your space, think about the size of desk, if you can make any changes, and then just kind of work around that. There's no point going for the largest case you physically can fit on your desk if you can't put anything else on it. Right, anyway, that's enough gas.
Oh, PC Centric is talking too much.
I always get that comment. I joke about it in every video as well, but you still always get that one person that's like,
PC Centric, I came here for recommendations, but you're just talking.
You can use the timestamps.
I think I should take a second to calm down. And we will go through those all-important recommendations. Don't forget that if you do want to check out current pricing at any point in this video, we'll leave it in the description and as a pinned comment. And obviously this is the work of years and years of testing, so I hope you enjoy them. And don't forget to watch to the end for our case of the year. Up first, we have the budget section, and the cheapest recommendation I can give is the Cooler Master Q300L V2. Now, this case is absolutely fine. Nothing more, nothing less. With its micro ATX form factor, solid enough build quality letting you construct a fantastic gaming PC on a budget. We literally just completed an RTX 5050 rig in this yesterday, and whilst a couple of extra fans on the front certainly would have helped, you can happily add these later. For something a little bit more premium, yet still affordable, why not check out the NZXT H3 and H5? Two very similar cases that both step up the build quality considerably, have better airflow, cable management and expansion, and are usually on sale somewhere for a great price. The H3 is mATX, and the H5 is full-size ATX. Moving on, and we now have our best all-rounder category, and this is probably where I'd put my cash if I was building a personal gaming rig. Kicking things off, we have the NZXT H7. This would be a fantastic choice as its larger size and mainstream pricing puts it right where it needs to be. I'm not 100% sure on the look from the front, as you can actually see the empty fan rails and it's a little bit distracting, but I know that this is incredibly nitpicky. Lee & Lee's LANCool 207, meanwhile, is a really smart case that's actually mATX more or less in size, but actually supports full-size ATX, which is great for anyone that wants to save space on the desk, but still fit big components inside their rig. Just be aware that it doesn't really like oversized power supplies. At this price point though, there really are so many to choose from, but I think my pick of the bunch would be between two, the Fantex MV5 V2 and the LANCool 216. Honestly guys, both of these get my absolute top honors, with the MV5 being one of my personal cases as it just oozes luxury, looks fantastic, and fits large coolers, GPUs and power supplies. The only downside is that it doesn't actually include any fans as standard. The same can't be said though for the LANCool 216, as this actually comes with two huge 160mm fans on the front and a smaller one on the rear, as well as the fact that it's built like an absolute tank and again supports loads of hardware. You really can't go wrong with either of these, and if you have no idea where to start, I highly recommend them. Of course though, there are plenty of people that want to spend more, but get more. Let's move on to the best luxury cases. And I think it's fair to say the first choice in this list needs no introduction at all, the Lee & Lee 011 series. And it's funny that they've been refining this for years. There's now various different sizes. You can buy standard, XL, compact, Vision, but they all keep that core dual chamber design and heavy duty material used throughout that actually makes them a pain to move around, but a real joy to bask over. The price in the Vision series is also very reasonable too, and all of them are very easy to recommend. Hot off the press and just released, I also love the new Corsair Frame 5000D. Now, it's not crazy or radically different from the original, but it's a bit more modular. It's got a new mesh design on the front that I really like, and a nice slim profile that complements its tall stature for lots of high-end component support. And then finally, we have a fan favourite, the Fractal North and North XL. This was the original case to popularise wood, and it's still great today, with a perfect blend of style, airflow and build quality. Just be sure to go for the XL version if you're top mounting a radiator. But I think now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to focus in on size, and let's start with our
Smallest cases.
And spoiler alert, 2 of them are on the desk. And I'd wager that my favourite right now is probably going to come as a little bit of a surprise if you haven't heard of this before. But actually, my favourite is from Deepcool. It's the CH170 Digital. Now, aesthetically and practically, this is a very simple case. It is just like a rectangle, it's a cube. Yet it supports modern GPUs with lots of room for a tower CPU cooler, is easy enough to access the I/O on the underneath, and it has a cool digital display on it for monitoring temperatures. The downside of this though is that you can't get it in the States, so even if you do want it and you do love it, you're out of luck. Fortunately though, I have 2 other close favourites, the SS-UPD Meshroom S and the Fractal Terror. Now, neither of these support massive GPUs, but that's a testament to their size, with the Meshroom being a great balance for a more intermediate rig where you still want to put a 240 or 280 red inside, and then you have the Terror for something small, cute, yet still very powerful. Regardless though, whichever you choose, do make sure that you triple check compatibility before you spend hundreds on your CPU and your graphics card. And I will also say that if you have any suggestions for ITX cases you think we should check out on the channel, let us know down in the comment section below, as they're definitely the ones I use less frequently. But something that I use a lot more frequently is micro ATX, m-atx, and the reason for this is because personally, I think this is massively underrated. You get all the benefits of having a smaller system, yet you still get a lot of the compatibility and a lot of the expandability that you're going to get with full-size ATX. Case in point, ha 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 ha. I've actually written ha ha in my script. I write my own jokes. We actually have our personal gaming system, built inside the Lee & Dan A3, with this beautiful wood finish, still a tiny size, yet also packing a full-size RTX 5090 and a 360 rad. Because you see, the beauty with this is that that extra physical size is receding backwards, not upwards, which means that when you place it in most locations, it's basically as small as ITX, but then with that flexibility on component choice. Another option to consider is one that's actually slightly larger, with this being the Asus Prime AP201. Now, like the A3, this is either mesh or glass, depending on the version that you get, and this also maintains a fantastic balance between great airflow, construction, and component support. There's not really that much to choose between them, but the cable management is way better on the Asus Prime, so if you're going for glass and you want to actually have a neat looking build, the Asus is definitely a better pick, but if you're going for a mesh system, then the A3 looks a little bit fancier with that wood finish. My joke is bad. Pressing Taylor swiftly on, and we have our next category, which is the
XL Fat Boi.
And I'm not joking, that's actually what I wrote down. I'll see myself out. Regardless of my poor jokes though, you'll be pleased to know that we have 3 choices for you here if you demand something ginormous. And the first is from Haven, the HS420. And I think by far this is the most premium case that we have in our test, with every panel, mount and mechanism feeling super plush and reminding you that spending more does get you more. There's 2 versions at play here, one with a vertical GPU mount, including these glass panels that help to guide the airflow to the right place, or the one that I personally pick, just the standard one for more traditional horizontal GPUs, but costing a fair bit less as a result. And then coming in as our second luxury case, we actually have the one on our desk. This is the Corsair Air 5400. This is not perfect. This plastic ducting was like a cool idea, but I think it kind of ruins the aesthetic of an otherwise really cool case. I like all of the doors and everything, that's great. But the main thing really about this is that you do have an extra chamber over here, which is where your 360 radiator is going to fit. And then in theory, all of that airflow that would usually be contaminating your GPU chamber is completely separate. That's the reason I really like it. The constructing, well, the build quality essentially of this throughout is fantastic. It's really well put together. I think it's the best Corsair case that they've literally made in years. I just do wish that they had a version that didn't come with this that brought the price down, because this is more expensive than that Haven case. But whilst, as I say, it's the best Corsair case I think they've made in a long, long time, the Haven just, I don't know how, but it just feels a little bit more premium. It's probably the lack of the plastic, but you don't have to use that. Moving on though to our penultimate case before the case of the year, we have the GOAT fish tank, the Height Y60 and Y70, 2 cases that generated so many copycats and fuses fantastic airflow with some of the best looks on the market. It's really cool as well that there's also a touchscreen version that actually replaces the diagonal glass panel with a 1440p touchscreen that looks incredibly cool, has loads of functionality, but I bet most people use it for a week and then let it be. Oh, but then, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, it's night. No, at the end of the day, there can only be one case of the year, and the best PC-centric case we've tested all year goes to... Drumroll please for the 2025 winner, the Haven BF360 Flow. From the moment I first saw this in a romantic and sweaty Taiwanese expo hall, I knew we had something special, as the combination of the standout looks from the stone front, its perfect size and form factor, and the super thick 180mm fans just brings something familiar, yet fresh and new all at the same time. It doesn't rely on gimmicks or RGB, instead just offering fantastic component support, super easy building, and cable management that was slick and easy. There's not really anything I would change about it. Maybe a slightly lower price tag, but hey, if you want that premium feel without going into silly money, the BF360 and BF360 Flow are the ones to look at. But I will say that honestly this year has been incredibly difficult because there's just been so many great chassis. It's not like one is so much better than the other. We've got a really high bar, so do your research, have a look at the list of everything that we've got down in the description below, as well as a pinned comment, so you can see for yourself what's going to work best for you. But just don't go out and buy some random case with no research whatsoever, because as much as there are fantastic ones, there are honestly some real stinkers out there, and you'll be very, very disappointed. So I really hope this video has been helpful. If it has, smash the like button and get yourself subscribed. Let me know as well what your favorite cases are. What have I missed? What's a tragedy to not be included here? We've tested a lot, but as always, we have not tested every single one. So let us know down in the comment section below. And as I say, if you do want to check out current pricing or learn more about any of these cases, you can find them listed down below with our affiliate links.
And while you're down there, why not check out Intel's epic holiday bundle? Whenever you buy a product with a qualifying Intel Core Ultra CPU or Intel Arc graphics card, you can land yourself one of the biggest games for free, with Battlefield 6, Civilization 7, Dying Like the Beast, or Assassin's Creed Shadows all up for grabs. So why not land yourself a shiny new Intel Arc B580 with a whopping 12GB of VRAM, an Intel Core Ultra powered laptop, or an Intel Core Ultra desktop CPU that's perfect for both work and play. Learn more today with the link down below.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.